welcome back to Surreal Beauty, back with another video. Super excited. Really wanted to talk about the importance of our attitude and how we show up in life. Really, our perspective and our attitude shapes how we make decisions, how we behave and react to situations. This was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned as I've been on my self-love journey. And I can really remember back to when I was performing and, in my athletic career, my attitude was really the biggest indicator and dictated how my success and my ultimate experience with track and fields and decisions that I made moving forward. And honestly, guys, when I tell you your attitude and if it's not rooted in positivity, in the right place, in the place of a healthy foundation, it can potentially ruin good opportunities in your life based off of how you see it. And as I've been on my self-love journey, one of the biggest game changer was having that mindset shift. My attitude really held me back. I look at a lot of the opportunities that came my way, and because I had a distorted way of looking at things, because if things weren't in my norm, what I knew, what I understood, it was dismissible. I wasn't open to receiving new information. And that was one of the other things that I learned, being open to receiving new information from people who are successful, who are in the fields, doing the things, in the positions that you aspire to be in. It is in your best interest to take and receive information. And at the time, and still in my immaturity, I remember being ignorant to that, feeling as though whatever I believed and what my opinion was, and as much as I knew, was enough. And that kept me in standstill. And so it wasn't until I started to do a lot of reevaluation and reflection. This is where, in this space, you're able to really look at a lot of your flaws and do a lot of character and strength building. And so in this space and time, I really looked at a lot of the opportunities that came my way and what really held me back. And yes, some of it may have been fear. And when I look at it, a lot of it had to do with distorted thinking and rationale, thoughts and ideas that I put up in my head that I affirmed, and I believed it. And so I literally sabotaged myself. So it got to a point where I really had to just learn the deal and having to reshape and reshift my mindset. Life has a great way of showing you enough or throwing enough oppositions and challenges at you to where you have no choice, to where you are just like, no, I'm tired of it. I'm over it. And I had a makeover change, an attitude makeover. You know how they say, oh, you need an attitude makeover? I had an attitude makeover. And it was the most humbling experience. It was the most painful, gruesome experience. And yet at the same time, it was the most beautiful in the most monstrous way. Okay. I had to learn in a very ugly, violent way. And the message is not that you have to go through violence or struggle or receive or endure pain to have an attitude makeover. I'm just saying that was my experience, because I needed to shake. It needed to be shook it out of me, just point blank. And so it's so funny because I just look at the growth in this process, and the moment I started to, and again, it's still a work in work process, being mindful and being present when those thoughts start to come in, when your old ways try to chime back in, like having to be mindful in those moments to make sure they don't take over, because that's also what it is too, keeping that balance. But what I learned with the people that are successful versus the people that are not as successful is, when obstacles happen, people that are successful, they are more solution based. They are within the mind frame of withstanding the obstacle and figuring out a plan to overcome it. Whereas the not as successful individuals dwell in that misery, struggle, pain, almost take the victimhood role And so I've learned that when you do take the victimhood role, yeah, people may feel sorry for you, but you'll still be stuck in that standstill. And I remember being in that space, being in that place, and deep down inside, it didn't feel good. I had to really take on a victor's mindset. You have to take on that victor's warrior type of mindset, you know, going through it, toughing it out, getting through it, being strong, being resilient. That's what it takes to make it in anything you want to do. If you're studying for an exam, if you want a promotion, you know, if you want to get better at something, anything, you know, you have to just work for it. And so it's all in your attitude. How are you looking at it? How are you showing up? You know, if you can even think to yourself right now, the last 5 people you've had encounters with, do you feel as though your interaction with that person, your attitude, was it more positive, or was it a little unhealthy and there's some changes that can be made? And I'll honestly speak for myself. The last 5 people that I've definitely spoke to, I could change a couple things, you know, and so I have to even be mindful today. If not, it'll take over me a little bit. And so while I'm not in that space that I was 6-7 years ago, it's still a sharpening. You know, you're always constantly fine-tuning and things like that. We're constantly doing the work day in and day out, digging out. Self-love is a lifelong process. It's not you reach this point and it's done. It's a lifelong thing. And so this was the game changer, your attitude. How are you showing up? How are you reacting to life's obstacles, challenges, anything when it's presented to you? That is how you win. And once we get to a point where we can withstand, I don't want to say everything because we're not like bionic, we are human, so we have to give ourselves some grace. However, when we get to a space where we're not letting 70% of the things bother us, I think that's pretty realistic. I think that we have something good. So anyways, guys, definitely be sure to check out my vlogs on my website. Link is below. Be sure to subscribe and get your free ebook. Super excited to connect with you guys. Until next time.